The article I'm citing on the Dennis Prager Show is at the blog section of PragerRadio.com. Everything is at the blog section. All the answers to life's problems is there. What did I say? What? Including honey. That's right, Alan's honey blog. By the way, that was a beautiful letter you received from another honey enthusiast sending you honey. You know, if Alan starts getting more honey from listeners than I get cigars, this is a very bad sign. A word to the wise is sufficient. Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager here. Shelby Steele is one of the clearest thinkers in the country. He is also a black man, and does that make him a black thinker? Well, yes and no. I mean, he's a black who's a thinker. Is he a black thinker? Did I ask him that question? It's a very interesting question. Like, am I a Jewish thinker? Well, in some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. It's an interesting, I guess, when you apply that aspect of yourself to the thought, then you are. Otherwise, you're just a human thinker or an American thinker. So Shelby Steele has this piece, and he says, look, let's be honest, okay? The GOP is not going to appeal to minorities as long as minorities think in terms of what can you do for me because I have grievances against America. End of issue. Whether it's women or Hispanics, blacks, doesn't matter. And this is the line. I think we need to memorize this line. Conservatism offers minorities the one thing they can never get from liberalism, human rather than racial dignity. Well, when I was in college, black is beautiful was a powerful, widespread, I don't know, not aphorism, what would be the word? Line, motto, slogan. And I remember, isn't it interesting? You never understand what you remember from your youth. And I remember saying to, I think it was my father, but I don't recall, how I couldn't stand that line. And I couldn't figure out why not fully. I mean, I did sooner than later, because I emotionally identified with it because I was so pro-black liberation. From Jim Crow laws, from racism, and so on. And then I realized, wait a minute, black isn't beautiful. White isn't beautiful, black isn't beautiful, yellow isn't beautiful. Goodness is beautiful. And that has stayed with me ever since. How could a color be beautiful? How could that be? Good blacks are beautiful. Good whites are beautiful. Good Latinos are beautiful. But no group is beautiful. Only a decent group. The group of the decent is beautiful. And if you can't say that, you have abandoned all Judeo-Christian principles. That's the only division that matters in the Judeo-Christian world. The decent and the indecent. All right, Darren's a black caller from Minneapolis. So you were making this very depressing point about how no matter what the black politician does, like Marion Barry in Washington, or what about our guy Washington, who was found with money in his freezer?
Exactly.
That was a real corker.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the man. Now that I think of it, though, Darren. The guy was prescient. He knew the banks would fail, and he kept his money in his freezer.
Well, I don't know if he was that clairvoyant or not, but again, Dennis, it's the same thing. For example, with O.J. Simpson.
That was the most depressing moment in my adult life and American life.
Exactly, and I've heard you comment on that, but it was the same thing. Black people in private would say, well, yeah, I know O.J. Simpson's guilty, but in public, because, again, it's about
the man.
O.J. Simpson was a black defendant. We're
right.
against the man, so in public, we're for O.J. Simpson. But you talk to black people in private, well, I know O.J. killed that girl, but, hey, I'm not going to let white folks know that, So it's the same type of thing.
All right, so here's what I was going to ask you, as
right.
I do to pretty much any black caller who has your values, which are, of course, my values.
Right.
Are you alone, by and large, in your family?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm the only person who's conservative in my inner circle of friends and family. And actually, Dennis, I kind of blame you for that. Because basically I was kind of like a middle-of-the-road kind of guy. I didn't really consider myself to be too conservative or whatever. But after listening to your program over the last few years, I discovered that you shared all the values that I really shared. And I kind of discovered that, well, in fact, I am a conservative, even though I've been kind of pretending that I'm not.
Huh.
So I find myself in a position now where I'm at odds with my fellow black friends and family because, again, their thing is, the Democratic Party is the party of goodies. We will give you the goodies. The Republican Party said, look, we're not going to give you the goodies. We're just going to try to do the best we can so you can make the best life for yourself. But the Democratic Party is all about, we're going to get you the goodies. And when I talk to my friends and family about this, like, well, the Democratic Party is going to do this for black people.
Well, you know what? Your statement leads me to a very interesting little play on words. The Democrats are interested in goodies, and the Republicans are interested in good.
Very good, exactly.
Now, one final question,
Sure.
since I'm curious about your personal life. Are you married?
No.
That's interesting. Can I ask you why?
I was engaged once, but that didn't turn out. So it's not that I didn't want to get married; it just didn't actually work out. So.
Well, so you've never been married?
No.
Now, have I influenced you in that arena too?
Yes, I'm
all right, so get married. Okay,
yeah.
Good. Well, let me know when you do. All right.
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes. There is really nothing progressive in progressive thought. That's what's so fascinating. It's the history of the left to usurp words that mean the opposite. Like peace activists. These people are actually they're not active for peace. They're active for surrender and for enabling wars to go on, that so long as we don't fight in them. But this to make politics based on race, and that's called progressive. Whew. Okay, let's go to San Diego, California, and Bob. Hello, Bob. Dennis Prager.
Hi, Dennis. It's always a pleasure. Hey, why isn't this groupthink, this liberal mentality thinking not prevalent amongst Asian groups or Asian people? And they're a fairly significant minority
because
group.
The value system, to the extent you could speak about Asians, because they it's a very broad category and it's only a geographic name. But nevertheless, if we're talking Chinese, Japanese in particular, their value system is individual responsibility and achievement, families taking care of their own. They don't tend to come from cultures that had government taking care of them, and if they did, they fled. Back in a moment.